I'm still trying to process the events of the past 48 hours, but one thing is certain: Victoria's words cut deeper than any knife, and I'm left to pick up the shattered remains of my own sanity. As I sit here in my dimly lit apartment, the city outside my window a distant hum, I'm forced to confront the darkest corners of my own mind, all because of her. The memories of our tumultuous relationship are still seared into my brain like a branding iron, and I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to escape the toxic grip she has on me. I've always felt like a part of me was missing, like a puzzle piece that never quite fit. My entire life, I was just with my mom, Victoria. My dad was never in my life. I was told by my mom and her whole family that he was a deadbeat piece of shit who ran away after my mom got pregnant with me. They made him seem like the absolute worst person ever. I remember the smell of my grandmother's kitchen, the sound of her voice as she'd talk about my dad, her words dripping with venom, the way my mom would nod in agreement, her eyes filled with a mix of sadness and anger. I believed them because he was never in my life. I never had a reason to doubt their words. As I grew older, the curiosity about my dad only intensified. I'd find myself wondering what he looked like, what his voice sounded like, what kind of person he was. But every time I'd ask my mom about him, she'd brush it off, telling me that I was better off without him. I'd try to push the thoughts away, focusing on my own life, my own problems. But the questions lingered, always lurking in the back of my mind. It wasn't until a few months ago that my curiosity got the better of me. I was scrolling through TikTok, and I stumbled upon a video about someone in my same situation, a person who had grown up without their parent, only to discover the truth about them later in life. The video sparked something within me, and I found myself wanting to know more about my dad. I started to think about all the what-ifs, all the maybes. What if my dad wasn't a deadbeat? What if he was a good person who had been kept away from me? I decided to confront my mom about my dad's identity. I remember the feeling of nervousness in my stomach as I approached her. We were in the living room, the TV blaring in the background. I turned it off, and we sat down on the couch, facing each other. "Mom, I need to ask you something," I said, my voice shaking slightly. "What's my dad's name?" My mom looked taken aback, like she hadn't expected me to ask. She hesitated for a moment before answering. "His name was John," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I felt a surge of excitement mixed with fear. I had a name, a starting point. I quickly got up and grabbed my laptop, my heart racing with anticipation. I opened Facebook and typed in my dad's name. It didn't take long to find him. As I scrolled through his profile, I was shocked to see how much we looked alike. He was a lawyer, married with 4 kids, all of whom were younger than me. I felt a pang of jealousy, wondering why he had a whole other family, why he had never been a part of my life. I took a deep breath and decided to message him. I introduced myself, told him who my mom was, and that I was his son. I waited anxiously for a response, my mind racing with thoughts of what could happen next. Half an hour later, my phone buzzed. It was my dad. He was excited, eager to talk to me. We exchanged numbers, and he asked to FaceTime me. I agreed, my heart pounding in my chest. As we talked, I could see the emotion in his eyes. He was crying, his face red and puffy. I felt a lump form in my throat as I listened to him apologize for not being in my life. He told me that my mom had told him she miscarried me, that he had no idea I existed. He kept repeating how much I looked like him, how sorry he was for missing out on my life. I felt a mix of emotions, anger, sadness, but also a sense of wonder. I had a dad, a real person who cared about me. We talked for hours, and eventually he asked to meet me in person. I agreed, and we made plans for him to come visit me. As I waited for him to arrive, I couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and nervousness. What would it be like to meet my dad in person? Would we click? Would we have anything in common? The day of our meeting arrived, and I was a nervous wreck. I paced back and forth in my living room, my mind racing with thoughts of what could happen. And then I heard the doorbell ring. I took a deep breath, opened the door, and there he was. My dad. He smiled, and I saw the same smile staring back at me in the mirror every day. He hugged me tight, and I felt a sense of belonging, of being home. I knew in that moment that my life was about to change in ways I never thought possible. As I stood there, wrapped in my father's tight hug, I felt a sense of belonging I had never experienced before. The smell of his cologne, a mix of cedar wood and lavender, filled my nostrils, and I felt a deep connection to this man who was my father. I saw the same smile staring back at me in the mirror every day, and it was surreal. My mind was racing with thoughts, emotions, and questions. How could my mother have kept this from me? Why did she lie about him being a deadbeat? The more I thought about it, the more I felt a mix of anger, sadness, and confusion. As we pulled back from the hug, my father's eyes were still red from crying. He smiled at me, and I saw the genuine love and affection in his eyes. I felt a lump form in my throat as I looked at him, and I knew that I had found a part of myself that I never knew existed. He took my hand, and we walked to the living room where his family was waiting. They all smiled and welcomed me with open arms, and I felt like I was part of something bigger than myself. As we sat down, my father started telling me stories about his life, about his struggles and his accomplishments. He talked about his family, his friends, and his career as a lawyer. I listened intently, absorbing every word, every detail. I felt like I was getting to know him, really know him, for the first time. His wife, my stepmother, was kind and warm, and she made me feel like I was part of the family. My half-siblings were energetic and curious, and they bombarded me with questions about my life, my interests, and my hobbies. As the day went on, I found myself feeling more and more comfortable around my father and his family. They were all so welcoming, so loving, and I felt like I had finally found a sense of home. My father showed me pictures of his childhood, of his parents, and of his siblings. He told me stories about his favorite memories, about his struggles in school, and about his first job. I felt like I was getting a glimpse into his life, into his soul, and it was beautiful. As the evening drew to a close, my father walked me to my car, his arm around my shoulders. We stood outside, looking up at the stars, and he told me how much he loved me, how much he was sorry for not being there for me. I felt a tear roll down my cheek as I looked at him, and I knew that I loved him too. I loved him for who he was, for the man he had become, and for the love he was showing me. As I drove home, my mind was racing with thoughts and emotions. I felt like I was on a roller coaster, twisting and turning, trying to make sense of everything. I thought about my mother, about her lies, about her deceit. I thought about my father, about his love, about his apologies. I thought about my life, about the what-ifs, about the maybes. I felt like I was at a crossroads, trying to decide which path to take, which direction to go. As I pulled into my driveway, I sat in the car for a moment, collecting my thoughts. I felt like I was in a daze, like I was living in a dream. I thought about my father's words, about his stories, about his love. I thought about my mother's lies, about her deceit, about her manipulation. I felt like I was torn between two worlds, two families, two identities. I knew that I had to make a choice, to decide which path to take, which direction to go. But for now, I just sat there, in the darkness, trying to make sense of it all. The next few days were a blur of emotions, of thoughts, of questions. I found myself thinking about my father all the time, wondering what he was doing, what he was thinking. I felt like I was getting to know him, really know him, and it was an incredible feeling. I started to question everything my mother had told me, everything I had believed. I felt like I was living in a lie, like I was trapped in a web of deceit. I knew that I had to confront my mother, to ask her the questions that were burning in my mind. But I was scared, scared of the truth, scared of the consequences. As I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, I felt like I was at a crossroads. I could take the easy path, the path of least resistance, and just accept everything my mother had told me. Or I could take the hard path, the path of truth, and confront my mother about her lies. I knew that it wouldn't be easy, that it would be painful, but I also knew that it was necessary. I had to know the truth, no matter how hard it was. I had to know who I was, where I came from, and what my family was really like. I took a deep breath, feeling a sense of determination wash over me. I was ready to face the truth, no matter what it was. I love him so fucking much already, and I hate that I missed out on him my entire life. He even took me last minute on his family's holiday vacation, and it was like I had always been a part of their family. The smell of salt water and sunscreen filled my nostrils as we spent our days lounging on the beach, playing games, and laughing together. His family welcomed me with open arms, and I felt a sense of belonging I had never experienced before. His wife, Sarah, was kind and warm, always making sure I felt included, and his kids, Jack, Lily, Emily, and Ben, were energetic and playful, always eager to show me their latest adventures. As we sat around the dinner table, sharing stories and jokes, I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of connection to this family. My father, with his bright blue eyes and infectious smile, was the glue that held them all together, and I was amazed by the way he balanced his busy schedule as a lawyer with his role as a devoted husband and father. He talks to me every day now, even though he's busy as fuck. He keeps making time for me every day, and I cherish every moment we spend together. We talk about everything and nothing, from our favorite books and movies to our childhood memories and dreams for the future. But despite the joy and love I've found with my father and his family, I couldn't shake off the feeling of anger and resentment towards my mother, Victoria. I've been avoiding her, honestly. I hate her for depriving me of my father my entire life and lying about him my entire life. The thought of her toxic behavior and the way she manipulated me into believing her lies makes my blood boil. I remember the countless times she and her family would talk shit about my father, making him out to be a deadbeat piece of shit who ran away after she got pregnant with me. The pain and anger I felt as a child, believing that my father didn't want me, still lingers, and I'm not sure if I can ever forgive my mother for putting me through that. As I sat on the beach, watching the sunset with my father's arm around me, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. I realized that I had been given a second chance, a chance to experience the love and connection I had been missing out on for so long. My father's words, "I thought you didn't make it," still echo in my mind, and I'm grateful that he's making up for lost time. He's been introducing me to his friends and colleagues, proudly telling them that I'm his son, and it's a feeling I never thought I'd experience. The days turned into weeks, and our bond grew stronger with each passing day. My father took me to his office, showing me the inner workings of his law firm, and I was impressed by his dedication and passion for his work. He showed me the photos of his family on his desk, and I saw a picture of me, taken on our first meeting, with a caption that read, "My boy, Ethan." I felt a lump in my throat as I realized that I had finally found my place in the world, and it was with this family, with this man who loved me unconditionally. As I lay in bed that night, I couldn't help but think about the what-ifs. What if my mother had told me the truth? What if my father had known about me? The thought of all the years we lost, all the memories we could have made, is still painful, but I'm trying to focus on the present, on the love and connection I've found with my father and his family. I know that I still have a long way to go, that I need to come to terms with my new reality and the truth about my family. But for now, I'm just grateful to have found my father and to have him in my life. The sound of the waves outside my window was soothing, and I felt my eyes getting heavy, but my mind was still racing. I thought about my mother and the lies she told me, and I wondered if I would ever be able to forgive her. I thought about my father and the love he's shown me, and I knew that I would always be grateful to him for being there for me now. As I drifted off to sleep, I knew that I still had a lot to process, but for the first time in my life, I felt like I was exactly where I was meant to be.
Hello, I'm Dr. Julian Reed, and what we just witnessed is a complex and deeply personal story of identity, family secrets, and the long-lasting effects of emotional manipulation. As a clinical psychologist, I'd like to delve into the psychology behind Victoria's behavior and how it has impacted her son, Ethan. Victoria's actions, as described by Ethan, suggest a pattern of emotional manipulation and gaslighting. By consistently portraying Ethan's father as a deadbeat and a piece of shit, Victoria has created a narrative that has shaped Ethan's perception of his father, and by extension, himself. This narrative has been reinforced by Victoria's family, making it even more convincing and difficult for Ethan to question. The fact that Victoria has been so secretive about Ethan's father's identity and has discouraged Ethan from seeking more information suggests that she may be hiding something or, at the very least, trying to control the narrative. This level of control can be damaging to a child's emotional and psychological development, as it can lead to feelings of confusion, anxiety, and low self-esteem. Ethan's feelings of curiosity, nervousness, and excitement as he searches for the truth about his father are completely valid. It's natural for him to want to know more about his family and his heritage, and it's understandable that he would feel a sense of excitement and trepidation as he reaches out to his father. As we continue to explore this story, it's essential to acknowledge the emotional toll that Victoria's behavior has taken on Ethan. The fact that he has grown up with a sense of incompleteness, feeling like a puzzle piece that never quite fit, is a testament to the lasting impact of Victoria's actions. It's crucial to recognize that Ethan's feelings are valid, and that his desire to know the truth about his father is a fundamental human need. Now, as we move forward, it will be fascinating to see how Ethan's relationship with his father develops and how Victoria's behavior continues to influence their interactions. Will Ethan be able to form a meaningful connection with his father, or will Victoria's manipulation continue to drive a wedge between them? The story is complex and the stakes are high, but one thing is certain: the truth, no matter how difficult it may be, has the power to set Ethan free.